During the war, for most of Ukrainians, the landmark business business is, first of all, reputable. The businesses have high level of responsibility, tax payment behavior, and high level of support in the society and the army as well.
The first message from our CEO when the war started was, this is not about business anymore, it's about our people. And from day one, we went in high gear to support all our employees.
He made a very quick decision to disinvest from Russia, something which costed a lot of money, and something which I'm very proud of.
I'm from Kharkiv, and unfortunately, sometimes civilian objects are under attack as well. And when it happens, like everyone is like, "Oh, we have a free office for you. We have a free space for you." And people just feel that they really have a lot of friends around them, and that's extremely important during these hard times.
Operating critical infrastructure in a war zone does require a lot of resilience, and the way TIU went about it, we've incorporated a lot of redundancies in our operations.
Our mobile operator really made so serious efforts to decentralize their infrastructure. So we have never had this problem with the internet connection.
With 3 breweries, one in the west, one in the east, and one in the center, if any one of those breweries had been hit, it would have been relatively easy to have switched production to the other 2.
Usually the second question that comes up is, what about insurance? We basically cover damages by a drone or a missile strike.
What is happening in Ukraine, people are being killed every day. It's tragic. If you look at it, in the cold light of day and statistically say, how much has the risk of personal injury or injury to or damage to property increased, is actually quite small.
When you work with the big customers, the big corporations, they normally have in their BCP plans the certain points when they couldn't work with the personnel which is located in a country under martial law. So that was a huge challenge for us to persuade them that we will continue delivering. We actually have lost one customer, very small client from the US, and CEO was very much concerned about the war in Ukraine and said that he's not going to continue working with us, it's too dangerous. So we stopped working with them, and in about a year, the board of directors came back to us and said that we have fired the CEO who made the wrong decision, and now we would like to continue working.
Even during the war, our customers have a high requirement for any advanced company who work on the Ukrainian market.
The most exciting thing for me is how Ukrainians were able to keep the highest level of service during the war. OKKO is the best gas station, to my opinion, in Ukraine. And the first thing I'm doing when I'm going back from the business trip on the car, that I'm going to OKKO and trying the hot dogs. And obviously Novapost is an amazing, the best post service in Europe.
The standards for shipment is the same 24 hours, even less. Even when it's a bomb shelling, even there is a terminal or damage or whatsoever, we have mobile branches. It's still 1,300 kilometers from east to west within 24 hours. And that's why Ukrainian people who just left the country want the certain kind of service that they cannot actually receive in Europe. They want to feel the part of Ukraine, because it's not only the shipment of parcels, it's the shipment of Ukraine's spirit.
Our current guess is that Ukraine will consume about 15,000 unmanned systems every day. And so will the Russians, by the way. So we're talking about something like 5 million unmanned systems a year at the moment. That's 3 times what it was last year. So the scale is just wild. Now, if you want motors, little Chinese electric motors, you need 4 for every drone, right? So that's 20 million. Only China makes those little electric motors. There's a Ukrainian company, a really cool one, but they make 20,000 a month. That's 5,000 drones worth. That's a morning's work. The West kind of made a mistake and allowed a lot of that kind of manufacturing to happen in China. Now what we're doing is we're saying, okay, well now you can't have any Chinese components in the drones. Okay, that's a little bit difficult because it doesn't give us a lot of options. I think what the government needs to do is not outright ban them, but help us work towards a way of converting over to other sources, which we absolutely have to do. We need a little help because there's no good business case for making those motors in North America if the government doesn't come on board and help us. It's just too expensive. I'll speak for my Ukrainian friends. They'll tell you that it doesn't matter how good the system is, it matters that you have a lot of it. You've got to get the price as absolutely low as you possibly can because you do need that scale. And if you need 1 million of something, then an extra $100 in manufacture is an extra $100 million that you've got to fund. So you've got to keep the price right down. That's exactly the opposite of what Western defense companies have traditionally done. So you take the FPV drone, the little armed drone that's basically a Chinese hobby drone that they arm. They're paying about $2,000 for those. There are 2 American companies I know that make armed drones, and they charge about between $55,000 and $65,000 for one item. There isn't a country in the world that can field 5 million of those, right? And if you ask a Ukrainian military guy on the front line, would he rather have one American super really cool, very capable drone or 25 FPVs? He'll take the 25 FPVs.
Another important thing was to build the vehicles fast because they don't need them in 2 years, they need them yesterday. And in order for us to address that, we identified few bottlenecks. For example, the delivery time for wheels was over 2 years, definitely not an option. So we found a way to produce our own wheels. We had to certify. There is a very complicated process, but we have done it, and we were able to ramp up the production from only 2 units a month to 120 units per month.
We don't often hear the war in Ukraine presented as a matter of Canadian national interest. In order for Canadians to be engaged more politically, Ukraine is fighting the Russian Federation. Essentially what NATO for decades was constituted to do and postured to do in much larger ways. And so now we're relying on Ukraine to fight this fight. Great support has been rendered, but it's not sufficient in the sense it's not proportionate to that challenge. So Canadians need to step up and create the environment, set the conditions for the government to be able to do more.
We're going to be able to absorb an awful lot of really painfully accrued lessons. You know, the Ukrainians are learning how to do this by, losing people. So that comes back to us kind of for free. And that's something we really need to absorb.
Ukrainians, yes, are fighting for their sovereignty, but they're also fighting for their vision of a transformed Ukraine. A Ukraine which is democratic, a rule of law country, able to enjoy the kind of widely shared prosperity that we sometimes take for granted here in Canada.
And when I think about Ukraine, we're going to be rebuilding a lot of the infrastructure, but you're going to replace it with the best state of art. It's going to be the best AI, the best data infrastructure, the best energy transition, future ready. And that's a leapfrog moment.
Our Minister for IT sector, Michael Fedorov, has made a lot of amazing transformations for digital services for Ukrainian citizens. We have this DIA app, which is a single point of connection to all of the government services. I haven't seen the better app in the world, frankly speaking. I'm traveling a lot.
The Ukrainian government has achieved a level of digitization, which other countries, maybe including our own, can only aspire to. It is a country that will be a fantastic partner for us all, a fantastic investment for the businesses that have the courage to invest now, a fantastic shield, a fantastic arsenal, a fantastic business opportunity.